Module 10, Chapter 6, Greener Events. Learning outcomes for Chapter 6. When you're finished with this chapter, you'll be able to produce sustainable events, reduce your carbon footprint of your event, learn to pre-cycle, conserve natural resources and save money, minimize waste, employ environmentally friendly practices, reduce your use of paper, implement energy efficiency, utilize renewable energy, market your greener event, create sustainable brand with local cultures and local economies, and partner with greener suppliers, vendors, and hotels. Defining greener. Important terms and definitions. These are all terms and definitions that you'll need to know and that are important in your special events planning. That includes global warming, climate change, greenhouse gases, carbon footprint, carbon offsetting, renewable energy, organic, environmentally friendly practices. So read about those and understand the definitions of each. 3 core values of greener events. First, innovation, which is creatively harnessing emerging strategies and green technology for increased energy efficiency and environmentalism. Second, conservation. This is the responsible use of the Earth's natural resources and waste minimization. And third, education, promoting ethical behavior towards energy and the environment by creating memorable event experiences. More on defining greener events. Sustainability meets the current needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Ecotourism, sustainable, non-invasive form of nature-based tourism. That's very, very trendy these days. Fair trade. It's important for you to understand what fair trade is. That means fair pay, investing in the projects that enhance the workers' quality of life, their partnerships, mutually beneficial long-term relationships, social, economic, and environmentally responsible in terms of the fair trade practices. So understand what fair trade means. Outgreening and corporate social responsibility. You've heard this term before, corporate social responsibility, where it goes beyond carbon neutral but seeks actually a carbon advantage. So maybe there's an opportunity for you to go beyond just reducing and improving the situation. 6 guidelines for greener events. First, attract and partner with artists. Second, be responsible citizens and invisible environmental leader. Third, appeal to the audience through its members that may not recycle and they might like to know the others are contributing to the good of the world. Fourth, a marketing PR advantage over the competition, so it may give you an advantage if you're doing something that your competitor is not. Fifth, do your part, knowing you and your employees make a difference every day. And sixth, there are financial savings, or there can be financial savings in following greener practices. Let's visit fair trade again. Fair pay, investing in the projects that enhance the workers' quality of life, the partnerships between the producer and the purchaser. It's a mutually beneficial long-term relationship, and it has social, economic, and environmental impact in terms of responsibility. This is your author's theory of greener events, and here's a graphic depiction of such. The innovation, conservation, education, fair trade, corporate social responsibility and outgreening, sustainable development, ecotourism, renewable energy. So this is a graphic way to look at the same information we've just discussed. Event pollution. Standard waste, recyclable waste, biodegradable waste, sharing your surplus. These are all issues associated with the waste of your special event, and you need to have plans for each of those. Also consider traffic, air pollution, land use, noise pollution. These are all considerations that you need to take in your planning process of your special event. In terms of waste, there is a waste disposal hierarchy. And then this triangle you'll see at the bottom where it's least favored, the disposal methods, up through the top of prevention, which would be the most favored. So this is a different way of looking at your waste disposal and which is the most preferable way of handling the waste. Is it something you have to dispose of? Can you recover some energy? Are there recycling opportunities? Can you reuse something? Is there a way to minimize waste or even to prevent it altogether? So this is a graphic way of thinking about waste disposal and the hierarchy, which is preferable. We talk a lot about event waste in greener events because this is something that you can usually do. You'll make an impact by recycling. You can recycle paper, plastic, glass, and aluminum. The standard way is to take your waste to a landfill, and there may be potential energy recovery, but most often that's just the standard way of disposing of waste, is taking it to the landfill. Biodegradable, can you compost yourself? Can you send, this would typically be food waste, biodegradable waste. Can you send it to a composting plant? Can you give it to a local composter? So look at your waste and make determinations based on your best practices. First steps. These are baby steps. Can you go paperless? Can you reduce your consumption of paper? Can you use the internet? Turn off the lights or use energy efficient lights, turn down the heat, or be more energy efficient in terms of your heating and cooling? Can you buy greener? Can you use reusable silverware? That means you wash it, or are there biodegradable options? 3 cycles. First, pre-cycle. Pre-cycling is a term you may not be familiar with. Reduce or preventing waste before it occurs. That's promoting buying used, recycled, recyclable, or repurposed products. Recycle. These strategies include clearly labeled recycling stations, education, incentives, volunteers, or a tax on recyclable items. A tax on recyclable items would be like a pop bottle deposit. Bicycle. That's the third cycle. Versus driving. It's good for the environment, good for your health, and also can generate energy. And this may be appropriate in an urban environment where you're encouraging cycling to your special event. Greener energy considerations would include biofuels, solar power, hydropower, wind power, wood, and considering all of this in terms of your energy efficiency. And depending on the size or the scope of your event, some of these may be appropriate for you to consider. Cultural sustainability looks at the local culture and the local economy. Marketing your greener event. Marketing sells, educates, creativity is the key. Much happens behind the scenes. Greenwash is a term you may not be familiar with, and that's a false or misleading marketing technique so that you may be indicating that you're doing something green when really it isn't. So that's something you want to avoid and be familiar with the term greenwash. It's misleading or false marketing. Plan and partners. You may need an environmental manager who conducts environmental audits if you're working on a large event. You may have a greener partner such as your hotel. You may be able to partner with the hotel for the hotel to use greener practices. This would include established recycling programs, reusing of linens, low-flow toilets, water-saving showers, energy-efficient lighting, pesticides and herbicide-free landscaping or greener food, natural, organic, pesticide-free, local, seasonal, ethical practices, composting food waste, carbon offsetting. There may be a charitable investment in environmental causes to offset the CO2 emissions. Toward a greener tomorrow. This whole discussion has been toward creating the greenest event. The greenest event would be a carbon neutral or possibly no event. That would have the least impact. But if you're having special events and you want to make the minimum amount of impact in terms of negativity on the environment, it's difficult for events to be completely green, but you can strive to be greener.